Hello, Roger Bisbee here from the Skill Builder channel. I just want to do a little video on how to repair underfloor heating. Now, it doesn't very often happen that you get a leak on underfloor heating. Generally, if you do, it's because the pipe has been damaged. The pipe itself is as tough as old boots. PEX pipe, this one has a barrier in the middle of it, so you need to check out what type you've got. Obviously you won't know that until you dig it up unless you look at the manifold. This one is an Alupex one. It's got a layer of aluminium in the inside. Now that's important to know because it's a different fitting that you need. So basically you've got to take up that section of the floor and you've got to put a repair coupling on it. So you need to know which coupling to get hold of, and this one is a 16mm, so it's likely to be 16mm pipe or 12mm pipe that you use. Just select the right one. You can get these off any underfloor heating shop. If you've got a bit of the old pipe left over, it's a great thing because you can actually just send that off to the shop and ask them to send you the right fitting. But if you haven't got any pipe left over, maybe that's a tip for people. Okay, so the actual repair to the pipe, if there were a hole in here for example, is not that difficult, but the difficult bit is that you've got to get some access to the pipe somewhere. So that would mean probably cutting out quite a section of the floor to give you access to the pipe, and then once you've got access to the pipe you need to cut it. And if you cut it exactly, use a pair of cutters like this, you'll find that it's going to be quite difficult to use a pair of cutters unless you can get right in there like that, and you might slice through it. So most pipe will be on some kind of insulation if you're lucky. As I say, this is specific to underfloor heating. I'm not talking about repairing other pipes in the floor, although we could talk about that at some point. But let's just say we've got to get rid of enough of this to make the repair. We will be digging it up. It's tough old stuff, this actually. So take care if you're using a knife. And then if you can get some cutters in there, great. But quite honestly, you could probably do it better with a multi-tool. Now we've got to cut. If this was in a sand and cement screed, you'd have to cut away all the sand and cement around it, cut away a little bit of the insulation underneath, and then just prise the pipe up from the floor. So you finish up with 2 bits of pipe like that. Now this is where it gets difficult. So that's given us a cleaner edge on both sides. That one's a little bit ragged. That's where the damage was. Take that tiny bit off there. And now we've got a repair coupling. And this repair coupling is made to give you an internal seal in the pipe. The rubber O-rings there go inside, and that's where the seal is made. But before you put it in, this is absolutely essential. Here we have a re-rounding tool. This goes right down to 10mm pipe, 12mm pipe. It does this 16mm pipe. So you put the re-rounding tool in there and you give it a good go in there. Do the other one the same, because if you don't do that, when you push these fittings into there, there's a chance that you will displace or damage that O-ring, and if you damage that O-ring you don't have a seal. So the next bit is the nut that goes over, and it has an olive, but this is a different type of olive to the ones you normally see, in as much as it's got a cut in it, it's got a slit in it, it's a split olive, and that will go on the outside of the pipe. Now the idea of that is when it's done up, will hold the fitting in place, stop it being blown off the end of the pipe if you like. It will also squeeze the pipe around those 2 O-rings. So now we've rounded the pipe. When we push this in, a little bit of lubricant just to ease it in. You can feel it going there, that was fine. And then you simply do the nut up. You don't need any paste. The olive is not making the seal. The olive is doing absolutely nothing to make the seal. Now the tricky bit is this bit, because unless you've got a bit of slack in that pipe, which you won't have, you'll find it can be difficult to put on. I'm not pretending it's easy, this job, because it isn't, especially when you lose the olive. Where's the other olive gone? Here it is. So there's the other olive. So we put that olive on there. We've got a little bit of extra pipe here, because if you look at it, that pipe's going to go flat down to about there. You've got a decision to make. That's where the pipe will end. So we could, in theory, just cut off a little bit more of that pipe. Excuse me, it's falling out of the floor. It's only a mock-up, so you understand. I obviously didn't want to go and damage a real underfloor heating system, but I reckon if we take out that little bit there, can get smaller cutters than this, by the way. If you haven't got any cutters, you're looking to buy some, there are some nice little snippers. So that's got that, that's in the end. Now get this in line as best you can, because if you don't want to be bringing that fitting in at too much of an angle, because if it's at too much of an angle you may damage the O-rings there. But you see what I'm doing? We just bring that down into place, close it up, and then try and get this nut on. And I think if we flatten the pipe out now, that will be a better bet. We get it to that situation there, hold the fitting in the middle, and then that will give us a watertight seal. The olive is not doing anything except just squashing the pipe very slightly onto that rubber seal in there. But quite honestly, if the pipe is nicely rounded, those rubber seals will actually work very well on the inside of the pipe, not on the outside. So there we are, nice and tight. We give that a test, and I would say in this case we would do probably an air test first, bit of soapy water around it, and then if that was successful, run the water through it. So there you are. I'm not pretending that's an easy job, because it all depends on how the pipe is restricted. You may end up cutting out to 600 millimeters of floor area just to give yourself room to maneuver those pipes, and you may have to put a spare bit of pipe in there. What we must bear in mind is that we've got different types of pipe, so you need to know which type of pipe you've got, whether it's got the aluminium in the middle or not, and measure the outside diameter of it, 16 millimeters. It's one of those things, if the plumbers merchants sold repair couplings for underfloor heating, they probably wouldn't sell very many, because it's a fairly unusual job. The reason I'm showing it to you is just to give you peace of mind if you've got an underfloor heating system. Don't forget, it's an insurance job as well. See, it's hardly plastic at all. It is brilliant stuff.